Thank you for the opportunity to share some of the experiences that our institution has had working with Pure. Today, I'm just going to be showing some of the novel ways the groups on our campus have been leveraging Pure. And we hope that by sharing some of these use cases with you, that it will provide some food for thought as you consider other uses for Pure at your own institution. And just to give you a little background on our school, Washington University School of Medicine was founded in 1891. We are part of a very large academic medical center campus that takes up about 18 city blocks in the middle of the city of St. Louis. The school has 1,400 students with programs in medicine, a medical scientist training program, physical therapy, occupational therapy, and we have a program for PhD students in biomedical sciences. We've always had a large and distinguished research presence. The school has had 19 Nobel Prize winners and today has over $680 million in research funding. 80% of that comes from the NIH. The campus also has 2 large teaching hospitals and approximately 1,500 clinical faculty members. The driving force at our institution for implementing Pure was our Institute for Clinical and Translational Sciences, or ICTS as it's called. This is a CTSA-funded multidisciplinary institute that was established in 2007, and it has 1,500 members from 6 local and regional institutions. The ICTS mission is focused on 4 major areas: connecting research teams to resources and expertise that advance scientific discoveries, funding novel clinical and translational research, training and cultivating the next generation of the translational science workforce, and fostering local, regional, and national networks to translate research into practice. However, an ongoing problem for them was that Washington University did not have a centralized resource for research discovery or to enhance collaboration, and they were an early champion for finding a school-wide solution. Because of our library's familiarity with publication data, and in particular Elsevier products, along with our training and support capabilities, a partnership between Becker Library, ICTS, and our Office of Research was launched to implement Pure in 2019. And now, after almost 2 years, through our outreach and promotion efforts, we've discovered a number of groups on campus who are leveraging Pure in ways we hadn't anticipated, and where it quickly became an important part of their operations. So I'll just touch upon some examples we've seen in medical education, faculty development, research tracking, promoting clinical practices, and finally, how Pure has been leveraged for COVID-19 research. One of the functions of our medical student education office is to help students pursue a research project during their 4-year curriculum. The projects are usually in an area of personal interest to the student and requires them to identify an appropriate member of the research faculty to be their mentor. For many years, as part of their operation, the office staff would work with the students to develop their topic, identify a potential researcher working in that area, and then reach out to them to see if they would be willing to act as a mentor. Prior to Pure, this was a completely manual process, and it relied on printed notebooks with lists of researchers sorted by their areas of expertise. These were often incomplete, and they were rarely up to date. And so the notebooks have now been replaced by fingerprint and keyword searches of Pure. They're also making extensive use of Pure's download to Excel feature to send students lists of potential matches for their review and follow-up, thereby streamlining the discovery process with information that is now current and up to date. We're also now in the process of working with them to implement a willing to mentor flag in the Pure person record to allow for even better filtering of results to link students with researchers. Our research and development offices have found Pure to be useful, particularly in helping faculty build their careers in a variety of ways. They have found it to be particularly useful in helping junior faculty get a jump start with pursuing research funding, which is always a struggle at the beginning of their career. Towards that end, they have really embraced Pure's advanced search function, where you can paste in a block of text from a source like a grant announcement, and they have found it to be a very effective and time-saving tool for linking funding opportunities to the needs of young investigators. They're also using it to help companies that are looking for researchers working in a very specific area, and they are also seeing it as a great bridge between funding opportunities and our researchers. Our international office has also found the collaboration maps to be an extremely useful tool for tracking faculty collaborations with institutions across the globe, and in particular countries in Africa and Southeast Asia. This was something that the office had always been wanting to do as part of their strategic mission, but they were never really able to do it because they didn't have the resources or tools. Finally, we were surprised to learn that Pure turned out to be a useful tool for our space planning people as they planned construction for a new multidisciplinary research building for the campus. The internal author collaboration maps turned out to be a useful supplemental tool to learning a little more about which labs work together the most frequently and which groups could possibly benefit from closer physical proximity to each other. WashU also does a lot in the areas of technology transfer and encouraging entrepreneurship among our research community. Pure has helped these groups who oversee these activities to work much more effectively with corporations and foundations to provide access to the university's talent, research, and resources, particularly in the process of identifying foundation prospects. So now these groups are using Pure for things like creating marketing sheets and slides. They now include links to person profiles in the marketing materials that they send out to attract commercial interest in technologies invented at our institution. It's also a handy way to enable companies to explore not only the technology at hand, but the overall research program of the PI. In the past, information about a researcher often came from their lab website, and the quality of those, as we all know, can vary quite a bit. To date, they have used this approach to market about 100 different technologies from the School of Medicine, and they sent out sheets to thousands of companies with these links embedded. Typically, technologies managed by the university will be associated with one or more publications out of a lab. Now, these groups are looking at the research output section of a profile to find the associated publication, and they can estimate how much impact it has had using metrics such as Scopus citations and social media mentions. This gives them a general sense of whether people are excited about the technology and/or are using it, and it's become particularly useful for tracking older inventions. They also now make heavy use of fingerprints to help categorize the major research areas of our prolific inventors. Identifying these areas of excellence, as they call it, where there is a critical mass of inventors, helps guide decisions about where to focus future directions. Pure has also helped our clinical practices by promoting the work of our over 1,500 plus faculty physicians. Our technical team was able to write scripts to pull in links from our physician directory site and embed them in Pure profiles, thereby giving visitors the ability to easily learn more about the patient care activities of our faculty as well as their research. Here's the profile for the same faculty member on our physician directory for patients. We feel this cross-linking accomplishes a couple of goals. It provides a more comprehensive picture of faculty who are both researchers and clinicians, giving prospective patients more information, and it gives researchers who might be interested in identifying a clinician who works with a specific patient population an easier way to find potential collaborators. And then finally, like so many other institutions, there's a lot of COVID research currently underway at our school. And the ICTS is coordinating all of the COVID-19 research activities to help prioritize, promote, and actively support the most promising studies, and also to enhance the patient safety at our teaching hospitals. Currently, we have 76 researchers working in this area, and we use the organizational classification research pools within the back end of Pure to group these multidisciplinary researchers into a discrete unit. And then we've used Pure's banner feature now to promote the work of these researchers and make them more visible to potential internal and external collaborators. Everybody's been pretty happy with the response so far, and we hope to use this feature to create additional research pools to highlight other areas of specialization in the future. So the last 2 years have been an interesting journey for our project leadership and the support team at our library, and we've learned some important lessons. We keep discovering that there's a lot of specific uses for Pure that we had never thought of and that are of great benefit, it turns out, to individual groups working in more specialized areas on our campus. The problem is that awareness of a useful resource like Pure is often a challenge at a large institution such as ours, and we've found success often hinges on being very proactive and consistent in reaching out to our user community. So we're hoping to address this through a variety of ways, such as using the marketing arm of our library, and also frequent contributions to the many communication outlets on our campus, as well as looking at methods such as targeted emailing. And we also now have a dedicated person whose primary job is to provide front-end support to users with questions about how they can use Pure. Now, I'm sure a lot of these use cases are familiar to many of you already, but I hope that this has provided some food for thought for some other potential ways that Pure might be leveraged at your institution. And then finally, I'd like to thank my colleagues, Laura Simon and Robert Altman back at Becker Library, for helping me put this presentation together. And then also, I just want to give a shout out to our very talented and dedicated support team back at Becker Library, Kathy Sarley, Amy Suter, Evan Sprague, and Lucas Steinbeck. And together, they've made the implementation of Pure very successful, and I thank them for all their hard work. And with that, I thank you for your time.
Well, thank you very much, Robert, for a very interesting walkthrough of what you have accomplished already at your institution, which seems pretty impressive, taking into account how long you have had Pure at your institutions. So it seems you say that giving awareness to the product sometimes can be difficult, but it seems that you have accomplished quite a bit of awareness already. Have you been out within the institution and telling about some of the ideas of Pure and what you can use it for?
Yeah, unfortunately, prior to the pandemic, we were able to do a lot more interactive, going out into the departments and the research labs at our medical school to actually have real conversations with people about how they can use it. Now that we're doing everything virtually, that's a little bit more challenging, but we still have been able to get it in front, especially with a lot of our administrative offices, as you could tell from the talk. Those are the folks that really have found it to be an extremely useful tool. And so that's where we're trying to do more, like now targeted emailing, doing personal outreach through email and Zoom meetings to talk to people in various departments just to hear about how they might use Pure and work with them on how it might be integrated into their operations.
Yeah.
So we're trying.
Yeah, try. But that's also the way you've gotten the feedback back on how they already have used it with the use cases you already shown us here. Is that based on questionnaires or?
Some of it's on survey. We have done surveys, but a lot of it is just from our team's knowledge, prior knowledge of sort of who's doing what around our campus and who we think might be somebody who could make use of some of the features of Pure. And so that's also been a very useful method too. And that's one thing where I think the library plays a good role, because our job is to work with the public. That's what we do, is giving people their information. So it's something that we already know a lot. We know people on campus, who to talk to, and so that's helped a lot too.
Perfect. I have a couple of questions from the audience also. There's a question here. Does your institution ask your physician to add their research output themselves into Pure, or is it done centralized? And the question is, if it's decentralized, how did you motivate your doctors to put the effort into adding content?
Well, one of the key things for us that we always remember is most of the time our faculty are too busy and they don't really want to be bothered with these kinds of tasks. So we do have our technical team has used methods for scraping websites and things like our physician directory, where we can post the kinds of clinical activities as well as their research activities. So we do a lot of that without them ever knowing it. And then we do provide a mechanism, though, where if we direct them to their profile page to check it out, and then we give them a link to a form that they can provide us with updated information or additional information that might have been lacking that we weren't able to locate on our own.
So is it mainly around research output, or are you also using the activity module in Pure?
We're mainly using research outputs, and then we're using things like their research interests and clinical interests. We're now taking a look at adding their teaching activities and interests as well. But as far as that specific activity module in Pure, we're not using that yet, not for that purpose.
Okay, perfect. I have another question coming in. So here it says, many great examples, Robert. What is next for Washington University in terms of using Pure to leverage research? Anything up your sleeves?
Well, let's see. I'm sort of drawing a blank. Right now, we really there's talk of bringing on some of the other schools on our campus, particularly our schools of social work and our School of Engineering, because they work very closely with the School of Medicine, with our Institute for Clinical and Translational Sciences. Right now, we don't have profiles for those faculty members in our Pure platform. So it's one of those things that we might be moving towards in the future. Yeah.
When things lighten up a bit.
Right. Someday.
Someday. Yeah. Super. I think this is what I have of questions right now. I want to thank you so much for taking the time to do this presentation. It's been enormously interesting to hear about the use cases from your university. So thank you very much for taking the time.
Thank you.